I'm Lara. Some of you might already know me, but if you don't, I'm Emma's sister, and I'm going to be doing some bake-along videos of the recipes that will be in your weekly packs given to you by the wonderful Anne. Today we're going to be making Rice Krispie cakes, and here's what you're going to be needing.
Some form of cereal, cornflakes or Rice Krispies would be best. Mini eggs to decorate, 100 grams of milk chocolate and 50 grams of dark chocolate, 100 grams of butter or margarine, and 4 tablespoons of golden syrup.
And now we'll go on to equipment.
You will need 1 saucepan, 1 set of scales, 2 dessert spoons and 1 wooden spoon, a microwave-safe bowl, 12 cupcake cases and a cupcake tin. If you pause on this image, you will be able to get out all of your equipment now.
So before we start any cooking, the first thing we need to do is wash our hands.
Make sure your water isn't too hot. Then get a good amount of soap on your hands and form a lather between them. Then interlace your fingers and rub your hands together, and then go around each finger individually to make sure they're all clean. Then clasp your hands together and rub them both ways. Then put soap onto the backs of your hands and interlace your fingers this way. Make sure to get between your thumbs and the sides of your hands, as well as around your wrists. Then lightly rub your fingertips into the palm of the opposite hand to clean under your fingernails. Rinse off all of the soap and repeat some of the actions from before to make sure you're all clean. Great!
We've all washed our hands, so let's get cooking. First things first, we need to line our tin with cupcake cases. I have some colourful cupcake cases, but I also have some just plain white ones. Either will do. I'm going to use the plain white ones because I've got more of them. Now, I've got a tin full of cases. Just put that to the side. At this point, put your kettle on. Next, we need to measure all of our ingredients out. So I've got my scales, and I've got my bowl. And a quick note on choosing your bowl. There are a couple of things you need to remember. One, if you're going to melt your chocolate in the microwave, make sure that your bowl is microwave safe, so most definitely not metal. Also, if you're putting your bowl on top of a pan of water to melt your chocolate, you need to make sure that your bowl sits over your pan without touching the bottom of that pan. So I'll show you one where it does touch the bottom of the pan, just to make it very clear. This would not work. So you've got the bowl, turn your scales on. I turn my scales on once I put the bowl on top, because then it reads 0 immediately. And it's just easier. Now to measure our chocolate. Oh, this has been opened already. Some sneaky member of my family. Okay, so this is our milk chocolate, of which we need 100 grams. So I'm just going to break it into little pieces, because that will make it melt quicker. I'm just breaking it straight into the bowl, and we've all got nice clean hands from washing our hands earlier. So do this with me, and don't worry if it takes you a bit longer, or if you're super quick. You can always pause the video and catch up. So I've got 84 grams of milk chocolate, and because I don't need to go to the shops for anything else that's essential, because this isn't, and I do have a bar of dark chocolate that I know is more than 50 grams, I'm going to make up the difference with this. The total amount of chocolate that you're aiming to get is 150 grams. That's about right. So there we go, 151 grams of chocolate there, but I don't think 1 gram's gonna hurt. And then I'm just gonna press this button down here, where it's the on button, but it also says tear beneath it. And if I just lightly press that, it should take my scales back to 0. Next we'll measure our butter or margarine. I have both here, but you could use either. I'm going to use butter because I prefer the taste of butter, but if you're vegan or you just prefer the taste of margarine or it's all you have, by all means use margarine. Okay, so we have our butter, and I was taught you should always cut butter on a chopping board, but I'm going to be naughty. You should not be naughty. So 2 grams. Is this 2 grams? Well, I think that's okay. I'm 1 gram over again, but I think this is a forgiving recipe. Okay, and finally, we're going to add our golden syrup. And there's 4 tablespoons of this to go in. Okay then, now we've got all of our ingredients ready to be melted, we're going to put them over our boiling water in our pan. And to get that boiling water, if you just take the water you boiled in your kettle and push it into your pan, turn the heat on underneath it, and wait till it comes to a light simmer. A simmer is when there are a couple of bubbles rising to the top. You don't want it to be bubbling lots and lots, because that's going to be too hot for our chocolate. So I'm going to put this on. Okay, so here's my water, and that's just simmering for me. And whilst there are a number of bubbles, they're all little bubbles. And I'm at the lowest my heat will go actually. And then I'm just putting that on the top. And as you can see, all that lovely chocolate starts melting. And you can just leave that for a minute. Don't stir it, just let it melt for a second. Because the more you stir chocolate, the less happy chocolate is. I'll give it a stir just so the butter is also in there with it. Now, if you wanted to melt your chocolate not like this, but in the microwave, then what I would recommend doing is putting it in your microwave and putting it on for 30 seconds, and then taking it out, giving it a stir, and putting it back in for 10-second bursts, and then between each burst take it out, stir it again, and then you have more control over how the chocolate melts. Turn off your gas and lift this off really carefully. It might be a bit hot, so if it is, you can use a cloth, but make sure you don't get the cloth near your oven until there's no heat underneath. I mean this especially if you're using gas. Roll up your tea towel. I've got a wonderful Artworks one. Put it around your bowl and lift, and then move your hands away. Coming back from the oven, the bottom of your bowl is going to be a bit wet and a bit hot. So if you get your tea towel and put it underneath it when you set your bowl down, so it'll stabilise your bowl, but also protects your table underneath from all the damp and the heat. Okay, and always beware that metal heats up quite a lot, so your spoon might be warm. At this point, I like to use a wooden spoon. By magic, that's now going to appear in my hand. Ta-da! And then we're going to finally get to the pretty great part of adding our cereal. Okay, so now I'm going to add quite a few cornflakes, but not all of this bag yet. And then I'm going to stir in the amount I've added. So I've got this. Okay, so I think you can see as I'm stirring, there's more chocolate here pooling, so I want more cornflakes in it. So, tip some more in. And when I'm adding cornflakes, I tend to add it in the bit where the chocolate has pooled, because then it's easier to cover it. And then just keep stirring it in. This smells absolutely great. So, here's what we're looking for. All of my cornflakes are covered, I think, and there's not too much chocolate pooling in the bottom of the bowl. Now comes the fun part, although it's all been fun, where I get to put it into our beautifully lined tins. Now for this, you'll need the spoon you've already used, but you will need also another spoon. Now you've got your other spoon. Get your bowl as near to your cases as possible without disrupting them too much, because then less chance of spilling it not into a cupcake case. We want to keep as much of the mixture as possible. Get a spoonful of your cornflake chocolate mix on one spoon, and then use the other to push it into the case. Now, I've got very deep cupcake cases here. I think there might even be muffin cases. So I'm going to do 2 spoonfuls into each. But if you have smaller cupcake tins or smaller cupcake cases, 1 spoonful might be enough. And try not to overload your spoon. That was a bit risky for me, because you just stand more chance of spilling it, and no one wants to spill such lovely chocolate. And also, the less things you spill, the less cleanup you have to do. Because of the size of my muffin tins, I don't think I'm going to get a full 12 out of this. But if you're using fairy cake sized tins, I think you would. And again, if we're at different points when we reach the end of this stage, just pause the video and join me once you're ready. There we go. All empty, and that can go in the wash. And then I need to add my mini eggs. I think I've got enough mini eggs in my packet. I don't know whether you can see in the packet. I think I've got enough to do 2 per nest. You could use Smarties for this and just drizzle a few over. And there we go. All of mine made up with their little eggs in. And at this point, they're still a bit melty. So we're just going to put them in the fridge, leave them for an hour or 2, and then we can get to eating.